goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives, where we sit down often with a special guest and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. Hello, I'm Simon.
And I'm Greg.
Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking shop with others in the wedding industry, or maybe not. This episode is, of course, sponsored by With Jack and Pick Time, but I'll get on to that a little bit later in the show. Good evening, Greg. Who are we talking to today?
We are talking to Ben Marcum. Hello, Ben. How you doing?
I am very well, thank you. I would say good morning, but I think it's a little bit later where you guys are.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's for those of you who don't know, there is obviously we're dealing with time differences. So Ben is Louisiana, is that correct?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of a time difference, but yeah, we'll crack on nevertheless. Ben, I found you on TikTok. How is it going?
Man, TikTok's a weird space. Like it has changed so much in the time that I've been active on that app. And then here in the US, like tomorrow or the next day, supposedly the sale is going through. So Oracle will own it in everything here in the United States. And then everybody else gets the real version. So we have a feeling that here in the States, our app is about to change dramatically because of the people who own it and the narrative they're wanting to spin. And I'm not going to make your podcast political, but it's going to be interesting over the next couple of weeks and months.
I totally forgot about that sale. Like I knew that all happened, but it was months ago and it was coming eventually. But wow, I didn't know that was so like current now.
Yeah. I forgot about it too until I saw a couple creators talking about it. And I was like, oh yeah, I bet I start losing all my international friends and getting fed a whole bunch of information that I don't want to see. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to work on that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I totally forgot the let's introduce yourself segment of the podcast. But before we continue on, Ben, do you want to introduce yourself? Who you are, what do you do, that sort of thing.
Sure. So I am Ben Marcum, as you guys got through there. I am a professional headshot, portrait, and boudoir photographer, as I said, based in Louisville, Kentucky. I've been doing this for a career since 2013. So been at this for a minute. Started it without really having any idea which end of the camera to look through and just kind of figured it out as I've gone. And now here we are.
Yeah. And for many of our listeners out there, obviously, and my introduction alluded to the fact that you're not actually a wedding photographer whatsoever. But, you know, I feel like either you do studio work as well, or what we both have in common is the fact that we are working alongside clients who are, or could potentially be, not that used to being in front of the camera. And so I feel like when you're out in the field, you lose a little bit of nuance. And so I kind of want to dive into the nuance of studio work and how that might relate to being with a couple out in the field. So
sure. Yeah. Happy to do any of that. And like early on in my career, I did do some weddings because I thought that to be a photographer and to run a successful photography business, you've got to do weddings, you've got to do families, you've got to do blah, blah. And I think I shot like 8 weddings total and hated every single minute of it. So it just was not for me.
What was it you hated? Apart from every minute.
So it was a couple things. Like the couples that I was getting, because I was new, again, and didn't know what I was doing, were folks who didn't have like wedding planners or anything like that for their day. So being an old theater guy and having done that for 20 years before picking up a camera, I know how to put on a show. It's like, okay, butts are going to be in the seats at this time, and this, and this has to happen before we get there. So I would kind of become their wedding planner, going up there. It's like, okay, to get these shots, here's the schedule for the day. Let's go. But then there was also the stress of it in going, like, if I bring somebody into the studio now for a headshot or a portrait session or whatever, if I screw it up, I can reshoot it. Not that I'm aiming to screw it up, and so far haven't. But like, if I miss the kiss on a wedding day, you know what I mean? It's like that terrified me the entire, like, what if my camera fails it and I'm reaching for the other one and now the moment's over, you know? So, and then the other thing that would happen to me, like I don't drink when I'm working, but I would get what I would refer to as a wedding hangover. It's like the next day I would be tired. I would have a headache. Just everything hurt. And I was like, man, this sucks. People choose to do this. What's wrong with you? So I decided no more weddings for me.
Yeah. And like the wedding hangover is definitely a thing. I don't know about you, but I turned 40 this year in July, and I will be at a wedding when I turn 40. Or did they move? Did they move, Greg? Maybe they moved the day forward.
Yeah, you're traveling home on your birthday.
Not specifically for me, but I like to think because I'm 40, they moved for me. But I'm feeling it. I am feeling my age these days. God damn.
Yeah. Yeah, knees hurt more. I'm 48. I'm of an age where if I don't exercise and stretch, sleeping will hurt my back. So it only gets worse, brother.
Yeah, my eldest son, who's 13, has this really bad habit of waiting for a calm and then just jumping out of a corner to get me. The other night, I was going into his room and he did that, and I was like, ah, fuck! My neck had just jammed up, and I was in the hallway just like, oh, bastard, fuck! And he's like, are you calling me a bastard? I'm like, no, it's just my age.
Well, this time, yes, but I don't mean it. I love you. You're great.
Yeah, no, it was, honestly. So pains. Yeah. But I actually, going back to social media, I found you on TikTok. And I was attracted to your energy, and I was like, is he got a kilt on? And I was like, yes, this American guy is wearing a kilt. So before I move on to YouTube and all that kind of stuff, why the kilt?
Okay, so first, like when you found me, and I was like, I had a moment of, oh no, the Scottish folks have found me, and they're going to be like, why in the blue hell are you wearing a kilt? Stop it. So thank you all for being super cool about it.
Yeah.
I started wearing the kilt, honestly, because I got hot and I hate wearing shorts. So I was rehabbing this studio at the time, and I was up in the ceiling doing a lot of work, and it was just hot. And in my theater days, we would often work with a rigging company called ZFX. So like if you see things flying around at the Olympics, Beauty and the Beast rock concerts, ZFX probably did that work. So that entire crew, and I remembered from working with them, wears utility kilts. And so I had this moment as sweats, pouring down my face and back. I was like, all right, utility kilts. And so I got a couple, and they're stupidly comfortable. And I was like, oh my God, this is why haven't I been doing this forever? So it started that way, and then it inadvertently became branding for the business. Here it's not common to see, a 6'3", 290-pound dude, stomping around in a kilt. So people remembered it, and now it works for branding. And if I go to photography conventions and stuff as well, like people go like, oh, you're the guy from TikTok. So yeah, it all kind of became the thing. So and now if I do wear pants anywhere, people call me out. Like there's a few restaurants that we frequent, and there was a black tie event at one of them, and I went in and just tucked because I didn't have any of the kilt on, and they're like, why are you wearing pants? Absolutely. So now I can't wear pants in public. So
yeah, but that's so funny. I didn't even think I'm pretty sure I would have been nice to you when I first contacted you, but I hope in my, hey, is that you wearing a kilt? I hope I didn't come off threatening in any way.
Not at all. Not even a little bit. It was my own, the little voices in my head going, hey, did you think about, so no, you were, and everybody that I've talked to from Scotland has been wonderful about it. It's people here that can be a little bit more dicey, but that's rare even too. But it does happen.
Okay, what's the dicey vibes that they give you? Is it because it's a skirt or blah 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 or cultural appropriation or what's the?
I don't run into cultural appropriation.
Okay.
I do run into, and most people are super cool about it. You know, hey, love the kilt, love the look or whatever. But no, there's certainly some people. Okay, so an example, I was loading my car at the grocery one day, and this old woman and old man couple come walking past me, and evidently she didn't think that I could hear her. And so she looks at her husband. She's like, Henry, that man's wearing a dress. And they go walking by. And I turn around and I'm like, I work my legs really hard. So yeah. And Henry did not find that funny. But so that sort of thing does happen. I do run into the occasional, I get a lot of, are you wearing it correctly? So because, you know, you would walk up to anyone in any situation and go, hey, are you wearing underwear? Because that's normal. I've had a few kilt lifters, like at restaurants and things, and people try to, take a look. So it's but most people are super cool about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny one. So we like a lot of our clients are Americans coming over or Canadians but some of them are kind of nervous about the appropriation aspect of it. But I cannot encourage people enough to get yourself in a kilt.
Yeah.
If you've never had one, it does feel so good. It
does.
But if it's a rental, definitely wear your boxers. But I think in general, there's this idea that a true Scotsman doesn't have wearing any underwear, but you don't often wash your kilt. So maybe as a hygiene thing, I think we should all just like put the toxic masculine thing away and just wear boxers because it's more hygienic. That's all I'm saying.
And just thinking back to a practical thing, like when the whole thing started, like people were still on horseback and things. I've ridden a lot of horses being here in Kentucky. I would never want to ride a horse without something between me and my saddle. That would be a bad day.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
So question on the appropriation standpoint. So I've heard a fair amount that if you're not of a particular clan or a particular region, you shouldn't wear tartans specific to that clan or region. Universal tartans fine. Is that true, or is that just things that people say because they don't know better?
Nah, it's not really true.
I think there might be the odd person who lives in a remote part of Scotland and is a bit older, might stick to those, might feel those sort of rules, but generally, I'd say the majority of Scottish people don't mind. They're like, yeah, just wear whatever tartan. I mean, the tartan that my family name belongs to is a horrible yellow tartan. So I'm like, I've never bought that one. I've never bought it.
Okay, that's good to know, because there's several that I'm like, oh, I really love that one, but I didn't ever want to offend. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to figure that one out.
I will say that when you're like, there's just so many kilts and tartans. If you have a family name that originates from Scotland, maybe just start there with your, and then have a look at the different ones. My surname is Ferguson, so we have several different sets of tartan that go under the name. So I don't know, it's always fun. But I will say I own 2 just plain black kilts that I wear to weddings. And I tell you what, mums love it. They love it. So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. So do you see that your tips increase when you're wearing the kilt versus when...
Tipping isn't really something we do over here, which is fine. And I think our American clients know that. Although sometimes they do gift us things like bottles of certain things or nice little goodie bags and stuff. Very rarely is it like cash, but yeah. So it's never really something I've ever thought about it, but yeah.
So Ben, you mentioned your theatre background. Do you still dabble in theatre, or what else do you get into outside of work? Like who are you outside of work?
No more theater. I fully burned out on it when I left. So the theater that I worked in here in Louisville, we were a large regional theater, and we ran hard during the season. So it would, 9-10 months of the year on average, we're doing anywhere between 60 and 90-hour weeks at any point, very rarely having a day off. If you did, it was like one day a week. And then a lot of attitudes and egos started coming in, blah, blah, blah. So by the time I was done, I was done. I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I've been offered a few shows, actually one just not too long ago. And I was like, oh, God, no. And I was a sound designer engineer.
Oh.
Which was great and great fun, but it's just like I can't bring myself to do it. And the pay for doing professional theater is garbage. Like, you don't realize how garbage it is until you get out and you actually start making an actual living, and you go, what was I doing working 100 hours a week to take home $500? That's nuts. So outside of work now, I mean, life is really low key. I hang out with the fam, and we have our husky, so I did a lot of work training him, and I cook, and I'm reintroducing myself to music, and it's the past many years of this business, it's been the grind of we got to grow. Now I'm at a place of getting like, we're okay for now. Let's just enjoy life for a minute. At 48 years old, you've earned just some, let's go eat good food, drink good drink, and be around good people.
Hell yeah. I like those vibes. I feel like I'm ready for those vibes. But then at the end of last year, I was like, Greg, let's create another brand so that we can separate the elopements to the weddings. So now I'm just like, oh, fuck. Why did I do that? Oh my God.
And running a podcast, which is a whole other thing.
Yeah. And trying to do social media, although totally fail.
No, you're not. Your social media is great. I actually, so I put together, this sounds like a shameless plug, and I don't mean for it to. I just put out a course for, short form video for photographers, because most photographers, short form video sucks. And I reference you guys because I talk about most photographers, if they're trying to get business, should really be focused more on trying to grow their local audience, because that's where your clients are going to come from. But then I reference you guys and being like, you guys have elopements from everywhere. So trying to reach a global audience makes a ton more sense. And so you're doing enough that I'm talking about you. You're.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for the reference. That's lovely. That reminds me, because I keep up with your TikTok, how's your fitness journey?
It's good, man. The holidays, we got a little slack, and it's,
of course,
the exercise stayed on point, but there were a fair amount more adult beverages involved, which will slow things down, as it should. It's cold, you got to do things to keep you warm. But no, it's good. It's the gym journey is good. My plan is by my birthday in November to photograph myself the way that I photograph other people. And for that to happen, there's a fair amount of work that has to happen here. There's a certain motivation to go, if I'm going to post that online, we got work to do.
Okay, interesting.
What's the reason for doing the photo shoot?
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to work that hard to get it, I want to see it. Like I've never, this vessel has never looked the way that I want it to look. And to get it there, it's a lot of work. I mean, it's the things that I pick up are heavy, and I don't enjoy doing it. So it's like, no, if I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to reap the benefits of it. And also it's like, I'm not getting any younger. In 20 years from now, I may not want that shot, but to be able to look back and be like, hey, before I was 50, dang, look at me. That's really kind of the motivation behind it.
That's cool. I'm intrigued. So you don't enjoy going to the gym. I feel like that's a point of view that people understand, but they never say. In fact, they almost do the opposite of when they start going back to the gym. It's all these like, I'm getting it. Pictures at the gym and all that kind of stuff. I mentioned this in one of the last episodes that we recorded, where I was just like, I hate seeing that kind of content from people. It's just a lie. I've spoken to this person. They hate doing this.
Yeah, and it's a necessity, right? Like I love my grandmother to death. I love my wife's dad. They're both great people. Both of them, when they departed, were very big, couldn't move. So it's like, I'm not going that way. I'm not. And, to keep it moving, if you don't use it, you lose it, sort of thing. And so it's like, no, I'm going to move. I'm not going to be at a point when I'm 80, 90 years old that I can't carry my own groceries into the house. But no, I don't like to. I feel like the gym cuts into my day significantly. And like, I always feel like I'm not as productive on gym days because and people go, well, you could get up earlier. It's like, well, I could, but then that messes with my sleep and I can't go to sleep earlier. I try. And then I just lay there and my ADHD, tries to solve every world problem. So it's hard. Picking 300 plus pounds up off the floor isn't fun. There's gratifying, and that's nothing compared to what some of the big motherfuckers in my gym pick up. I'm like, my 300 is a warm up for you. I'll get there, but holy, is that really 1,000 pounds you're moving? Stop it. But it hurts and it's not fun and it's tiring, but it's also gratifying. There's to sit back and be like, 2 years ago, I couldn't pick up 300 pounds. I would have dropped my asshole directly on the ground. So it's that give and take, to it. And my wife and I both lift. So and she's competitive about stuff. So she'll get a little, well, proportionally, I'm doing more than you. So now I have to try to outlift my wife. So all that around you is like, no, I hate it, but I got to do it, so.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Good for you. That's awesome. I'm in the middle of like week 2 or 3 where I'm starting to get back into lifting, but the DOMs are just so sore. This is the first week where it started to subside, so I'm starting to like up the weights. But my wife, she's a personal trainer. She's coaching me at the same time. We're waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning before the school run. It sucks. But yeah, it's that she keeps on reminding me, like, you do this, you get excited, and then you start lifting the really heavy weights, and then you injure yourself, and then you're back down to square one. Let's not do that. Let's take our time. Okay? You're a big boy, but you got to look after yourself. So yeah, that's me at the moment.
And now you're pushing 40. Those injuries can come faster. I just came off of a shoulder injury and a knee thing and working back up. So
yeah,
I would say listen to her, but then I also go, I know how dude brain works. Like, no, I can do more. I'm good.
I know. It's terrible. I hate it. So you mentioned ADHD there. How does that shape your life, your work, how you deal with clients? Is it a challenge for you, or?
So yes, no. So, if I wasn't officially diagnosed with ADHD until January of 2025. Okay, however, we could all, if you look back to grade school forward, you can be like, yeah, no, it was there. Like I was a mediocre student because I didn't care. Like schoolwork was meh,
Yeah.
And I would be distracted doing something else. I would blame my ADHD on the fact that I had a theater career. And I think if you look at a lot of theater professionals who do it, full time, I'd be willing to bet that all of us are ADHD or on the spectrum or something somewhere. Because to run at that pace and to be able to solve the amount of problems we have to solve at the same time, it's almost like if the brain fired linearly, easy for me to say, I don't know if we could do it, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of feel the same thing with running a creative business because my brain has to, and it's like, I've got to be able to do the marketing side. I've got to be able to do the administrative side. I've got to be able to be the artist. I've got to be able to be the retoucher. I've got to be the face on social media. I've got to, so it's a lot of different hats that I don't know that I would be good at it if my brain fired straight. That said, like task switching penalties become a big deal for me. So like if I go, okay, great, I got my bookkeeping done, then to switch into going, okay, now I have to work on SEO. It takes me a while to be able to shift to get into the go, okay, now I can do this. So I have to, the days I'm most productive, I have to almost plan it out to think from here to here, you're doing X, from here to here, you're doing Y, and go at it from that regard. And they actually, they prescribed me Adderall at the top of your low dose sort of thing. Did not work for me. I actually had the opposite effect of what it was supposed to do. So as opposed to like, okay, everything's going to slow down, I think I was high as a kite. Like I took it once and was like, never again, ever.
Yeah.
It slowed my speech down. Like I would talk really slow and didn't realize I was doing it. I actually I had a video because I tried to do a TikTok that day and I was like, that doesn't sound like me. That's bizarre. And then all I wanted to do was talk to people. Like you've been at the party where there's like that one drunk person who wants to be like, I'm so drunk, woo! And they just want to tell everybody how drunk they are. That's what I felt like on Adderall. So I was like, nope, we've been raw dogging this for 48 years. We'll keep going. We're good.
Okay. Yeah. So Adderall. Now I know that's like a brand name, right? So
yeah.
Oh my goodness, what's the drug that my wife takes? Is it basically an amphetamine? Is that the same thing?
Yes. Yeah, it's meth.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, close enough chemically, right?
Yeah. That's why like people sell it, on the street, and that like to get prescribed. Like I had to do drug, like they had to make sure that I wasn't an addict, and I had to go through things. So if I was to take my remaining 29 tabs and go sell them, I would be a felon. So
yeah, it's wild. And it's so funny because my obviously my wife had she's got something that is technically it's called ADHD, but it's not like a technical scientific term. It's when you are autistic and you have ADHD and you look like a functioning person because both sides of your brain masked together to present a normal person, but in actual fact, you're very wild and have all these interesting ways that your brain works, and it's super fascinating learning all about it. My goodness. But it is a challenge, and I think for many creators out there, I think we do, whether we're diagnosed or not, have some sort of neurospiciness to us. Are there any tools that have helped your ADHD?
the biggest thing is going, I have to take some time, at the beginning of every week, and then I break it down every day of just going, here's what has to happen. These are non-negotiables. And I'm a paper list guy. Like keeping it on my phone or on my computer doesn't work. Like, so because there's also something that triggers the dopamine response for me to be able to physically cross it off the list and see it. So that helps a lot. And other than that, it's also, and this has just been doing the self work over the past couple of years of going, you have to become aware of when you're experiencing a symptom of it, because if I can label it and go, you're doing this because of, take a step back, refocus, and let's go. That's been really useful for me.
Yeah. And that's why, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, why even bother? Okay, you can get a diagnosis, but a lot of people are self-diagnosing. That's the reason, so that they can hopefully target an understanding of why they're doing something and then try and fix it themselves. Because, the NHS over here anyway is very slow and it's very hard to get diagnosed. And so you can do it privately, but that costs a lot of money. And there's also a waiting list. So self-diagnosis, very much a lifesaver to many out there. But yeah, let's go into your work, Ben, because that's why we're here. I want to talk about what you make and how you do it. How would you describe the style of your work, first of all?
And if we're talking about the portrait and the boudoir work, I would refer to it as more of a classic style of things. I feel like, through the 80s and 90s and even, in 2000s, there's been a lot of trends that have happened. And I find that trends fade, or then they end up looking dated. And what I'm most drawn to and what I enjoy creating are things that are going to be more timeless. So I always feel a little bit pretentious saying it, but whatever, I'm an artist. It's like the kind of work that I create, it would be the sort of thing that if you were to walk through a museum, you would go, oh, that's a beautiful, lovely piece. And it would still feel at home anywhere. So that's really kind of the basis of the portrait and the boudoir work. I say boudoir work, I don't really even consider a majority of the intimate portraits that I do boudoir. It's just the term that people know to search. I use it for SEO purposes more than anything else.
Yeah.
We're going to interrupt this podcast to bring you an advertisement for PickTime. Our buddies at PickTime, we love PickTime. If you want to elevate your business, PickTime's maybe the way to do it.
It's an online gallery delivery service.
It's a really good looking one, which is initially how we got into the service. It just looks better than all the other kind of platforms that we personally use.
Yeah. We've over time got to know the owners, got to know the people behind it, lovely people, great support system there as well.
There's just so many tools at your fingertips with PickTime, but the marketing and the blogs and the slideshow features.
Yeah, there's so much more than just a gallery delivery service. You've got all those things that Simon was talking about. You can create your own blog from it. You can create slideshows. One new feature that I really love is the vendor network. It's where you can use AI to curate a gallery for a specific supplier. So you could use AI to gather all the photos of the flowers and send them to the florist, and they would have that gallery specific just for them.
It's kind of a mind-blowing feature.
Yeah.
And we might as well be taking advantage of AI before the uprising and it starts taking advantage of us. So let's just all bear that in mind.
Yeah, and not to mention the built-in store, and that way you can just make more money while also having a nice, aesthetically pretty gallery.
Yeah. And if you want to sign up today, you can get a free month if you use Perspective at checkout.
Yeah.
So if you want to test it out for free for a month, go for it.
Take your business to the next level with PickTime. Before getting into like the details and nitty-gritty of your work, what brought you to photography? Because you said that when you started this business, it wasn't at the forefront of your thoughts. So what brought you to photography originally?
When I left the theater world, okay, so back up even further. 95, 96 in high school, I took a photography class in high school. And that photography class really was, and that was after like a friend a few years before, like let me play with his Pentax K1000, whatever.
Yeah.
He had a little dark room in his basement. My photography class in high school, they weren't really teaching us how to do portraits or landscapes or whatever. It was really, here's some black and white film. Here's how to use a dark room. This fulfills one of your art credits. So on your bike. So when I left the theater world, at first what I was doing was website design, and I was mainly targeting mom and pop kind of small businesses. And somebody needed some shots for their website. Stock photography is very expensive. And I was like, why don't I just go buy a camera? I know how to do the basics, and that'll be a tax write-off, and I can take photos of the dog. So great. So I bought a camera and started playing. And going, oh yeah, okay, I enjoyed it. Now, I didn't know what I was going to do, but that's really how the journey started. Tried to do everything for the first couple months. Families, babies. I shot candy for somebody who was making candy. Until I eventually landed on it. I had this epiphany that I've been around headshots almost my entire life from being in the theater. It's like, headshots, actors. This is kind of, and then there was nobody in my area specializing in headshots at the time. So I decided that I would, that would be the niche of the business. And that's a very cliff noted version of it. A lot of things happened in between there. And how hard could headshots be? I thought, and for any of you that have tried to do headshots, to do them well, it's really hard. So I ended up then I studied with Peter Hurley in his headshot crew and became an associate of his, and then I was a mentor of his for a while. I don't think I'm technically a mentor anymore because I haven't been active, but I was for a while. So that's kind of how it all started. And then it's just spiraled from there.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, we'll be talking more about your portraiture work and boudoir, but you mentioned headshots. What percentage of your clients are headshots to all the other work?
So it depends on the year. Like
Okay.
so I don't know how things have been in your all's neck of the woods. The economy here has had people freaked out for the past 18 months.
Yeah.
There may be a reason behind that. Oh, in the past year or so, I would say it's been about 75% headshots, 25% portrait and boudoir work. In the 2 years prior to that, it was about 50-50. So I imagine it's probably going to be about the same this year. Next year, I don't know. I could see it starting to the inquiries for the portrait and boudoir are starting to pick back up. So we may be seeing the shift back.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see you on TikTok, you're mostly talking about your boudoir and your portraiture work.
Right.
Is that just because you are more passionate about that, or because you want to make the balance more back to how it was?
I'm passionate about both. Actually, I love doing headshots and I love doing portrait and boudoir work as well. Part of it is algorithmically, just talking about headshots, people get bored because nobody really thinks about getting a headshot until somebody says, "Oh yeah, I need your headshot yesterday," and then they're like, "Oh crap, I need the thing." So there's an aspect of that. There is an aspect of marketing the portrait and the boudoir side of the business, because it's got a much higher ROI than the headshot work. I make more money on it, and I get to be more artistic doing the portrait and the boudoir work. And it's something that I feel like my audience kind of resonates more with. Yeah, it's so kind of a mix of all the above.
You mentioned trends in boudoir and the portraiture world. It's funny, when I hear trends, I just instantly go to wedding trends. So I'm not, I'm going to admit, I probably wouldn't even know what's in, what's out with trends in your world. Can you go into a little bit more detail as to what's trendy, what's not, what's your approach to trends?
I run away from trends as fast as I can. Yeah, just like because I know they're gonna fade, and they bore me. It's like if I want something to grab a hold of my soul and hold on to it for as long as it can. So I trends through the ages. Through like back in the 80s, there was a lot of really bad like Olin Mills. Did you all have Olin Mills over there? Like studio photography, very so it's like very department store kind of photographer with like a cheesy background, and then like everybody smiling and looking off one way, or like everybody in a really bad pose. Like I equate it with grandmother's hallways, like where they had all the photos of the family going down the hall. And now, like all of those photos, I get people who ask me if I'll shoot them as a joke for them. Like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if, and or like they're hanging out in a box in somebody's basement because they feel bad throwing them away because they were grandma's, but they also are like, I'm not going to put that on my wall because it looks like a dumpster fire. So it's kind of, there was when I was first starting, there was a big trend going around here anyway, and like I saw it on beaches and I saw it in a lot of in parks, where like the entire family would be wearing the same wardrobe, like everybody's like in khakis or blue jeans and a white shirt, and big cheesy smiles and the occasional hand heart sort of situation. And it's like, yeah, you can do that now and you can put it on your wall, but in 5 years you're going to take it down because it doesn't look like you now. It doesn't feel it was a stupid trend of things. In the boudoir world over the past couple of years, and I think it's fading. God, I hope it's fading. Everybody was doing the starburst. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to hit the mic. The big starburst crown thing going on, and like everybody was doing it. And you get me out here who actually understands some art history, and I'm not like the best at it, but it's like, you all do realize that that's religious symbolism. Like you're stealing directly, like you're saying that person is Mary or Jesus or a saint or whatever. Maybe don't do that. So I think that trend is fading. I hope. So I avoid trends like the plague.
Yeah. I was trying to, when you were speaking there, I was just trying to be like, what is this imagery? But when you said the religious, I fully know exactly the type of imagery you're talking about. I feel like it's leading. So yes, religious, but I feel like now you've got like book talk, fantasy, that sort of lean that way. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like those skills from that style have leaned over to more of their nerdy, geeky, photoshopped portraiture, but photoshopped world. And I don't know, I quite like that, but it's
I think it can be
definitely
done and done well if it's done for a reason, right? Like if I was to have somebody come in and let's use cosplayers as an example, and somebody come in and go, I'm cosplaying as whatever, so the environment needs to be like. There's actually a great cosplay photographer here in Kentucky, and like she goes to all the conventions and she does the full like her composites with that, and it works brilliant. But there's a reason for it, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I was seeing a lot of boudoir photographers who just being like, well, I'm being arty by putting this crown and things on it. It's like there was no reason to it other than trying to be arty. They'd seen photography mentors online do it. So they're like, well, that's successful. So if that's success, and success was measured by the amount of likes that it was getting, not seeing that it was just other photographers liking it, not paying clients, it skewed the whole thing. And I will caveat and grain of salt all that too. If that legitimately was speaking to people's souls and they were having a good time doing it and they were fulfilled and hopefully making money at the same time, more power to you. I would also hazard a bet that in 50 years when somebody looks at that, they're going to go, wasn't that cute, and pass it off, as opposed to this portrait of my mom is beautiful and I want it. Like a couple, putting myself over here, a couple of years ago for her birthday, my mother wanted a classic portrait done, one of the most nerve-wracking portraits I've ever done. It's now printed large in a big F-off gold frame over her fireplace, and it's gorgeous. And when the time comes, that'll come to me or my sister, and it'll be displayed. It looks like her. It's timeless. It's heirloom quality stuff. Wasn't that cute?
Yeah. Was there a moment before that made you come to that style of work and made you like, how long did it take you to come to the style that you have?
So as I was figuring out my journey and where I wanted to be, so as I said, I started with like Peter Hurley's training thing and whatever, which is great, nothing but good things to say. I discovered Sue Bryce on Creative Live when that was around, and one of her things, and I heard her talking about the kind of money that she was making as a portrait photographer, and I went, wait, what? That's possible? That's crazy. So I started being like, okay, we've got to start working portraits into the mix because, I want to make a living. And I kept experimenting with her style because, you get that little ego gremlin in your brain that goes, oh, well, if that's successful, then that's what I have to do to make money. Let's do this. And I kept trying it and kept trying it and kept trying it. And the images weren't speaking to me. It didn't feel like me. It wasn't touching my soul. And I was at an event where I was teaching with a bunch of other headshot photographers, and another friend of mine sat me down one day and we were just, hanging out talking, and he's like, man, you just got to shoot stuff that you want to look at. And I was like, but what? And so I started thinking about my mother worked at Kentucky Opera when I was a kid, and Kentucky Opera's home base was in an old Victorian mansion here in Kentucky with all of the family's things and portraits and things. I say old as an American, and I feel so lame saying that to you guys, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking about those things and walking around museums and the portraits that I was looking at, and I was like, is it possible to bring that to the photography? Can I do it with photography? And the first one that landed, there was a bridal portrait that I did for somebody. She had made her wedding dress herself and did the whole thing. It's gorgeous. And I nailed it. It was like, it was the style. And I was like, okay, this is possible. We can go. And that's where I really started experimenting with it and going, okay, we're going to try this. And if there's a market for it, then great. And if there's not a market for it, I'll shoot it for myself and I'll just make money off headshots, but this is what I want to be doing. I never assumed that boudoir would become a part of that. I imagined it was always going to be classic sort of portrait, John Singer Sargent-esque, sort of stuff. My wife and I were at the Cincinnati Museum of Art, and there's a painting there called Woman Drying Her Hair by an artist named Joseph DeCamp. It's on the second floor to the right if you're ever at the Cincinnati Museum. And I was looking, it's just a portrait of a woman's back and her hair's out. And you probably can't see, it's on this side of my room. I was like, I wonder. So a friend of mine who is a model came in and I shot it, and it's gorgeous. And I didn't think boudoir stuff was going to come out of that, but I posted that photo and I started getting inquiries for the boudoir work. And I was like, okay. So come to find out, more people want to pay me for intimate images than they do for classic. I'm here to do both, but I'm also in business. And like, if you're going to hand me your credit card for it, that's what we're doing.
Interesting. And how many of those type of commissions? Commissions, is that the right word?
It's the one that I go with. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
cool.
it is.
Yeah. How many of those do you do like per month?
I will only do up to 4 portrait boudoir sessions a month. And headshot sessions I can do 3 or 4 a day. No problem. With the portrait and the boudoir side of things, it's a multi-headed beast. I'm wildly introverted. So as much time as I spend with somebody, I need that much time on the back end to recharge my batteries.
Yeah, totally get that.
So those sessions take longer to do between consultation, shooting it, selling it, and then editing it. It just takes a whole lot longer. And I never want to feel rushed when I'm doing them. So long story short, I'll only do 4 of those a month.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Was that a hard decision to do, or did that just feel right to you?
After there was a period there for where like 2 or 3 months in a row, I ended up doing like 3 of them in a week, and I was exhausted afterwards. And so that's when I kind of came to the point. It's like, okay, I'm not going to be at my best self if I'm not taking the time that I need to do it. So I need to make sure that they're getting the best experience possible. So we're going to limit it to what it is. And then, from a marketing and sales perspective too, it adds a sense of scarcity to it. So if people are like, I'm on the fence, I'm like, you only get, so many opportunities a year. And, I do take vacations too. So that's going to limit some. Yeah. I'm not working on Christmas or my birthday. So, know.
You said that the sessions take longer as well, which I think most people would be like, yeah, that's obvious. It would take longer than a headshot session. But is that also because with, say, boudoir, for example, you'll need a lot of time to each get used to each other and comfortable around each other in session? Do you have any like tricks or tips that you have to make people get at ease in front of your camera?
So yes, and it's never cookie cutter because everybody is different. I think one of the skills that we have to have as photographers is we have to be emotional chameleons. So, when if somebody could walk in the studio right now, and if they're a bit nervous and a little bit reserved, then I've got to meet them at a more mellow place and, and help guide them through. I had a woman here just before jumping on with you guys who was dropping off props for Friday, a client that I photographed a couple weeks ago. She's a bigger energy. She's excited. She ran in, being like, can I hug you? And it's like, yeah, we hug. Whatever. So, if I'd come in mellow with her, I wouldn't have been matching her energy. So there's an aspect of that, but then it's also going through the session. Those emotions and feelings are going to change, and I have to be able to guide them and ride them as the clients. So that can take more time. Posing just takes a little bit longer because, we're asking people to, do things that don't feel natural. So sometimes they'll fight it a little bit. It's like, I often say, if it feels stupid, it looks good. So eventually convincing people like, no, I realize that feels ridiculous. Trust me, it looks amazing. And then we typically do more looks during a portrait and boudoir session, with headshots, I'm head and shoulders. Not that head and shoulders is easy. If any, I will harp on that till the day is long because of the amount of headshot sessions I screwed up. But it's just, there's a lot more going on. I'm more finicky about the light. Not that I'm more finicky, it's a different light. And as I move the body, I have to move the light more to get the highlights and the shadows. So there's a lot more detail involved with everything than there is because my headshot setup is my headshot setup. There's not a lot to tweak once we're in there.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's so working in weddings or even having conversations with other photographers, they have their approach, and it's when you speak to them, it's almost like a poo-pooing of the other approach, right? So, for example, if you're a photographer who doesn't like to pose, then the story is that posing's bad, or there's a negative slant towards posing, and this is why they do the other. But with studio work, I'm assuming you are full on posing, but maybe I'm wrong. Can you talk us through just your approach and how you work with the client to get the images that you want? And even just saying that, the images that you want, how much of a working together, a collaboration between you and the client is there for a session?
I think it's all collaboration. Every single bit of it. It's my sort of approach to it is we're just two people hanging out. There just happens to be a camera in between us. Because I think if you come at it from a different direction, expressions tend to look forced and the emotion doesn't tend to be there. So we have to have human connection for the best outcome. And it's my job mostly to make that connection happen. I need the person in front of the camera to not fight it. Don't be that one guy at a family shooting. You guys probably run it at weddings like, I don't want to be in front of the camera, and they're going to boo-boo face the whole time. So if you come at me like that, that's on you. But no, it's very collaborative. And, I have an idea typically before we come in of what shots that I know we're going to want to get. And so I will work through this, but I also leave room for natural and creativity stuff to happen, because sometimes somebody will just move in a way that you didn't think of, and you're like, it's perfect. Just move that hand just a little bit. So it's very collaborative there. And it's now what I will say to folks who are like, well, if I never pose because posing's bad, I only do candid, or vice versa. It's like, okay, well, then what you're telling me is you don't know how to pose. That's the same with people who are like, natural light's the best. I'll never use a strobe. It's like, okay, so you don't know how to light. That's okay. But that's, at the end of the day, light is light. If you don't know how to manipulate it, whether it's a strobe, whether it's a window, that's fine. Same with posing. If you can only do candids, you're just telling me you don't know how to pose. And I would suggest learning how to pose, because you're going to up your sales. If you can do candids and pose shots, you increase the amount of shots that you get. The more shots that you can show, the more shots that you can sell.
Okay. I can hear our audience being like, oh, yeah, but this weddings are real. They're real events with real emotions. Why do you need to fake them, Ben?
So the last wedding I shot, I did both. The bride had this beautiful, dramatic, red as fuck dress with this beautiful train and this whole, and it's like, I can shoot that thing candid all day long, but if I don't pose that dress, I'm an idiot. So knowing, having the ability to be like, great, this lobby has a chaise, that background's going to look great. I'm going to put this light here. Knowing how to do it, I increased my sales. So it's, and then you've also got, I don't know if you guys deal with it with the elopements. Like there's all the family shots. There's all, standing in a group of people ain't real candid, but if I can make them look interesting, and like a Vanity Fair shoot instead of a mall parking lot shoot, then I make more money and I'm more fulfilled as an artist.
Yeah, no, I like that. Oh, by the way, Ben, I was going to say British, but as a Scotsman, I don't like that term. But for this instance, I'll call myself British. We are British. We don't talk about sales and money. No, 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 no.
So I'm an artist and I love being an artist. My dog eats expensive food. I gotta sell.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's funny. We're very uncomfortable with the idea of selling ourselves. So yeah, just putting that perspective on thing actually might be more helpful to our listeners than they probably might think. So I don't know.
Or they're going, God, what's wrong with this American? What's wrong with you?
No, they'll be thinking, oh yeah, the Americans are really good at selling themselves. I want to hear more. That's
Well,
what I think.
I mean, but it's business, right? Like this is, I am in business. I'm in business to make sure that my clients have what they need and have the best experience possible, 100%. But I'm also in business to make it. I would make a lot more money if I closed my photography business and went into the corporate world. I have a set of skills from doing this that I could go make $500,000, $1 million a year because of what I can do. But I don't. I do this because I'm an artist, but I have a mortgage. My studio rent is almost $3,000 a month. I have a wife. I collect records. I like good bourbon. All that costs money. So I got to make money. And so it is sales. This is business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
I'm just thinking of like wedding photographers as well. Like the point you made about the family portraits. Like if someone who is a staunch, I don't pose person, if they learned from like 1 or 2 courses about posing, the family portraits might become easier, then they'd be quicker, and they wouldn't moan about them as much.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like if you look at like any of the big group shots of like celebrities that like you see in Vanity Fair, like stuff that Leibowitz has done or Seliger has done, like those group shots that look elegant and beautiful, they don't look stiff, they don't look posed, but they're still, and you look at them and, if you're anything like me, it starts to hit you like, oh, I want to look at this photo as opposed to, oh, that was fun and just scrolling through it. And I feel like part of our job as photographers and artists too is to create images that people want to look at, people want to get lost in. And if people learn how to pose and light correctly, then I think that's very possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So saying that, how do you do that? Teach us, Ben. You're our only hope.
Do I have to start doing the beard stroke now? So, I mean, it starts to learn it, you just have to start doing it and screw it up a bunch. Like I've screwed up a million times, and every time I screw up, I look at an image and go, why didn't that work? And then go from there. And then I look at a lot of images and go, okay, so this body type, they posed this way because this body type, they posed this way. So it's just starting to learn by looking. I don't know that I can fully explain it on a podcast, but it's, what's going to be most flattering for what body type. Like, for example, I'm 6'3", 6'4", 290, whatever. And because of my particular body shape, I don't like the way that I look in a seated pose. I don't feel like it's flat. I feel like it squashes everything up and I kind of look dumpy, for lack of a better term. So for me, I go, okay, I'm going to prefer to be elongated in some way, probably going to be standing in one way or the other to be most flattering for my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's starting to look at the body and go, okay, how can I make interesting shapes? I just don't want to stand there straight with arms to the side or whatever. I want to get some separation between the arm and the body so that I'm not adding width. If it bends, bend it. How do I need to turn to be most flattering? With my shape and the shape that I am now, there's things that I'm going to want to put into shadow. And so it's thinking about all of those things. And I think people get into a rush and they go, I got to take as many photos as possible. And so people think that I'm doing a thing. Like, no, take a minute, step back, look at what's in front of you, look through your viewfinder and go, is that pleasing? And if it's pleasing, hit the button. If it looks like hot garbage juice, change it.
How would you know what looks good or bad when you're there? do you just get a sense of it being wrong, or do you have to look at because you're tethered, right? So you look at your monitor, you'd be like,
But you can also just look at it and go, it does that look good? It's that's really what it comes down to. If you can't step back and look at it without the camera and go, compositionally, is that good? Then it's like learning to ride a bike. Then start doing it more, get those reps in. So I back up to like when I was learning to do headshots. When I first started learning to do headshots, I would offer like up to a 4-hour session, which is crazy. And, go, because I was like, I've got to make sure that I've got enough time to do this right and whatever. I have done 1,000,000 reps on a headshot at this point. If somebody walked in the door right now, other than I'm using the camera that I used to shoot headshots and talk to you guys, they could walk in, I could get them going, and I could have them in and out the door with multiple shots in 5 minutes. No problem. And it's because I've put in the time, effort, and energy that I can look at the entire scene and go, there's, you've got hair shelving on that shoulder. There's a collar gap going on there. I need to turn your shoulders this way. There's glare in your glasses. So turn your nose this direction, push them up abnormally, bring your chin down, push it out, go. And I can do it and get real emotion, but it just comes from reps and reps and reps and reps. Same thing with posing people. And like people can, and you'll see this a lot if you go through people's portfolios, mine included. People will have their go-to poses. Like, I know this always looks good. So start with those foundational poses. So you know that you've got a shot from the session. So it gives you your dopamine and, hey, I don't completely suck at this. And then try other things and play and experiment, and you will get more foundational poses built into your repertoire.
Yes.
Do those go-to poses help with consistency in your work? Like if you're talking about your portfolio?
Yeah, very much so. And you'll see a lot of the things through history and things like, how, if you, next time you go to a museum or you're flipping through an art book or whatever, notice how many people are standing next to a chair, turning around backwards with their hand on the back of the chair or on a small table. I mean, if you think of the Madame X portrait from Singer Sargent, like that sort of thing. So somebody had something to do with their hand, hand in the frame, and something that, it's classic, and it creates a lot of good shapes. You get the triangles, you can bend the arm, and it gives you different positions. So like some of those foundational things will definitely help with consistency in your portfolio, because you also start to feel more confident in them. So you're like, okay, I can do this, this, and this, and it's gonna look good no matter what.
Yeah. So I was taking a look through your portfolio, and I would say the majority of it for your portraiture, or definitely your boudoir, is mostly women.
Yes.
Being a man in that sort of environment, how are you making your clients feel at ease around you? Or is that something you've considered being an issue?
Never being an issue. So, first and foremost, I make sure that people have the opportunity to get to see me and what I'm about and the work well before they get here. That's the whole reason I'm on TikTok and things. It's not because I love making short form video. It's tedious. But the Ben Marcum you see on TikToks and Reels and Shorts is the same Ben Marcum you're going to meet in person. So there starts to become a sense of familiarity there. I also, for portrait and boudoir sessions, I insist on a consultation. So, and we do that either via Zoom or they can come visit the studio. Either way, I do that for multiple reasons. One, I want to answer any questions that they have. I'm going to go through every bit of pricing before they get here, so there's no surprises, and I say all the prices out loud, so nobody can be like, "Yeah, I didn't know." But then it's also that they get a chance to meet me, and I get a chance to meet them. Because if they were to meet me and go, I just don't feel like our vibes are vibing, then I don't want them to work with me, because there's a lot that happens here, and they need to be completely comfortable. And I'm okay with that if they make that choice. So far, that's not happened, but the option's there. And it goes both ways. If I'm not comfortable with somebody and I think it's going to be a not good experience in the studio, I won't work with them. It's not going to be my best work. They're not going to enjoy the work. And not to be really woo-woo about it, I've worked really hard to build a very good energy in this space. I don't want anybody messing it up. And that actually happened a couple weeks ago. I had a consultation with a woman who was she was rough in the way that she was speaking with me and how she was doing things. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't think this is gonna to work. And I wish you all the best in, finding a photographer that'll meet your needs. So it starts there. And then, as for being in the studio, we've talked about what looks they're going to want to do typically before they get here. If you go through the boudoir side of things, a lot of the people that I photograph decide to go fully nude or nude with drape, but not everybody does. That's not what everybody wants, and I'm not going to force that in any way, shape, or form. And we've spoken about that before they got here. I don't hide anything about what I do, so I try to foster an environment where everybody feels free to speak up. We're just all working together. My makeup artist is also here with us the entire time that we're working. A, to keep an eye on the hair and makeup while we're working.
Mm-hmm.
B, so the client sees that there's somebody else here. And C, for my safety. It's we very much live in a he said, she said world, easy for me to say again. So somebody else here to where if somebody was to accuse me of something, which has never happened, I have somebody here to go, that's not what happened. So it's a safety net all the way around. But like I want people to feel free to speak up and go, either A, I changed my mind, I would like to do this, or B, I changed my mind, I don't want to do this, or C, hey, it's just cold in here, will you turn up the heater? This all needs to be very open and safe. And I do everything I can to make sure that happens.
So your clients come in, it's session time. You mentioned your hair and makeup. Did you say hair and makeup? Or is it just makeup?
Yes. Hair and makeup. My makeup artist does hair as well. And we're not doing anything crazy with the hair. So if somebody wanted something like really extravagant, we would have them go to their own stylist. But like basic hairstyling, we do here.
Okay. And when I see your portfolio, there's lots of different clothes. There's the use of chairs and different backdrops. What's your approach to all the different elements? Again, you said it's a collaboration, but once your client's there, are you trying different things? Do you have an idea in your head about what exactly you want? And then it very quickly comes together? Or is there a bit of throwing, playing with ideas? What's the process once it's all happened?
All the above. So my theater background comes into play when we're doing. So I approach every photo shoot like it's a mini theatrical production. So I like to know beforehand as much as I can, what clothes are you bringing, and what do you like? Because that enables me to go, great, what's that particular garment, what's the silhouette, how's it going to photograph best? If I need a piece of furniture for it, which furniture that I have here in the studio is going to work best for that, etc. So there's a certain level of that. I do get people who never let me know what they're going to bring before they get here, so we get to run and gun with it. And not my favorite way to do it, but it can be done. But then when we are working, so, as I said before, I'll have rough ideas of what the shots and the lighting are going to be. But then if we get into something, inspiration will strike. And sometimes it's coming from me. Sometimes the person in front of the camera goes, what would be fun? And I'm like, great, let's try it. Worst case scenario, it sucks and we hit delete. Let's go. Sometimes it's from the makeup artist. So it's a very open sort of collaborative space and very open to ideas. I don't believe that a artistic environment should ever be rigid. Like we've got to have room to play and experiment and allow art to happen.
Yeah. In terms of like the hair and makeup, is that always the same person? Do you give them a brief? How much time do they get before things happen?
I've worked with the same team for about a decade now. We keep trying to do the math. It's been a while. Typically it's most often it's the woman who runs the team is the person that I get, but occasionally I get another team member. She at this point knows, like, I don't have to say much to her. She knows my style. She knows how I light. She knows what I like. And can go from there. But we also take what the client wants and needs in the thing. So if someone is kind enough to pay me to do what I do, and they say, I want a more dramatic makeup, we may go, it may not look great on camera, but if that's what you want, that's what we'll do. So we do work with them with that. As for the amount of time that they need, as much as they need to do it. If somebody comes in with very short hair or thin hair, it may not take as long to do hair. If somebody comes in with long, crazy, thick hair, I know that I can go get a coffee and come back. We're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But that's another part of the reason I don't schedule multiple portrait or boudoir sessions in a day is like, I'm not going to be rushed. If for some reason she needs 2 hours to do hair and makeup, take 2 hours. I'd rather it be right than be watching the clock.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
Let's talk about the short form video, because as Simon says, he found you through TikTok. You mentioned that posting the short form videos help the clients get to know you and feel comfortable with you. For anyone who's not sort of seen your short form, or what platforms are you sharing on, first of all, and then what content do you find is working for you?
So I am on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So typically with the short form videos, I'll make the short form video and they go to all platforms, and it varies on what's going to work where, and it depends on what mood those platforms are in that particular day. Because I'm starting to do some more education stuff and then starting to do some different stuff on YouTube, I'm doing some more photographer related content now, photography humor, or I'll occasionally give, hey, here's how you light a thing or whatever. A lot of the content that I do is directed towards giving just normal people to I've done like a lot of selfie tips, and like, if you're gonna do a selfie in the house, so this window is your best friend and here's why, or here's why your nose looks funny when you're doing your cell phone photos, and so people appreciate that kind of stuff. I've done how to tie a tie, because I don't know about over there. Here in the States, for some reason, most guys have no idea how to tie a tie anymore. I tie a lot of ties, so it's I try to be helpful with things. Like I want to give value, but then I also try to do my best. And I've really been trying to do more of this year, because it's really, it's been uncomfortable to let people see more of me. It's like, okay, here's me out of the studio too. I'm more than just the photographer. So, here's me hanging out with my dog, or, working with dogs at the local shelter, or I've actually started doing longer form vlogs on YouTube just in the past couple of weeks, which has felt very, very strange. And I'm embracing the strange, like, no, let's go with it. So, but the big thing is with the videos going, I'm no matter what, I'm just going to be me with it. I'm not going to put on, I'm not a character. So it's like, if you run into me on the street, or you book me or whatever, same guy. And, I think with AI doing what AI be doing, that sort of content is going to be much more valuable in the near and long future as well, because I think people want human connection. So,
yeah. And by the way, putting up your Christmas tree, I remember watching that. I was
right
there.
Were you there for the live or the, because we were boring as hell during that, and we were fighting with the lights, and it was awful.
I was just watching you. I think you had you had your tree up, but it was bare, and you were just like getting the lights out of the box. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna stay here for a little bit, because I like the vibes, I like the energy. And this is obviously a while ago, because it's not Christmas anymore. Yeah, not the usual.
Thank you for watching
content.
us get the tree up.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, it's just not my usual content that I would stop and linger on, but I don't know, something about just how calming it was. It was actually, calm, because I just feel, I know we've spoken about this before, but attention spans, and you see it all the time, especially for weddings, like when you watch wedding films, and we've just finished watching a whole bunch of films as we're judges for, I don't know if you know, Way Up North. It's a big wedding photography conference. But we were the judges for this year, and we've just finished watching so many, and they were all very, very fast paced and all the same throughout. And my God, just to hold a shot for more than 5 seconds is lovely, just lovely. So I don't know. I'm hoping actually that the slower content will come back into popular people. The zeitgeist is what I meant. Because my God, it's just too much, too much.
But everything's been very jumpy recently, and we're starting to see on YouTube in the vlogging culture things. There's a lot that's starting to lean to just people walking with, something on a gimbal and just talking for 10 minutes. There's no jump cuts. There's no B-roll. And it's getting a lot of views. And I think it's exactly what you're saying. I think people are going, okay, this is slower pace, and I don't feel like this is going to make my pulse jump 20 beats a minute,
Yeah. Do you know, I think as well, as we move forward with social media, I feel like we're really going to start honing into the people who we just like the vibes of. And it's less about how many people you follow, but it genuinely is just like who is interesting that you actually pay attention to and watch the content of. Because, everyone just follows everyone, or, well, maybe they don't actually, because for many years photographers have been like, don't follow because you'll suffer from imposter syndrome. But yeah, anyway.
And that's actually why it's one of the reasons I started doing the vlog on YouTube as well. It's a multi-headed beast as to why I started doing it. One, I wanted to reach other people and go, okay, as I said, I'm more than just photographer Ben. I'm Ben with the dog. I'm Ben the husband. I'm Ben the guy that cooks. I'm, Ben the guy that goes and buys records. I'm, whatever. And I think that people out there go, okay, that's interesting. And I think people want that connection. But then it's also going, people want to be around people they know, like, and trust. And so if people go, okay, I like this guy's vibe, let's just chill with that for a little bit. I think that's been lacking, and I think it's interesting. And then the other reason I got into or am experimenting with the vlogs is because I have what I refer to as stagehand syndrome. So if you were to ever go to a theater, a magic show or whatever, and you ask a technician to give you a tour backstage, they're going to be like, what do you want to see? There's some boxes over there. There's a hydraulic lift and there's no what? It's boring back here. But then you take somebody backstage who's never been back there and they're like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. And it's, so we're so close to it. We don't see the magic. Somebody who doesn't live in that world, it's the best thing ever. They're going to talk about it to all their friends. So in my life, I go, okay, so I wake up, I go to the gym, I walk the dog, I come to work, I work, I go home, I eat dinner, watch a little pro wrestling, go to bed, rinse, repeat, pretty boring day. People who aren't doing that with me all day go, how'd you train your dog to walk well on a leash? Because he's really cool and you guys go do cool stuff together. Or, okay, so you run this photography studio. What gear do you have? What makes you do this? Why did you make those choices? And so they're going to see it from that outside perspective. So I'm trying to refine that magic in my life. Let me reframe to myself what this means. And the vlogs are, for me, a way to do that. Let's find the magic and the pretty stuff in life so we appreciate it in a different way other than just we're grinding through to get back to bed.
Yeah. How do you notice those things and decide to make a video on them? Because I've said the same to Simon before. I've been like, oh, we should post more behind the scenes of what we do because people like to see it. And he goes, I'm just on my laptop editing. There's nothing exciting.
I've got the most boring life. I just wake up, go to the gym, like you just said, take my kids to school, come back, and I'm just sitting at this table for the most of the day.
but couples would find that interesting, I'm sure. So
Yeah.
how do
And
you
it's-
manage to remove yourself and notice those to then decide to make a video about them?
So I'm working on it. This is very new to me. So, and right now it still feels very uncomfortable. 2, there's moments where I go, just shoot it. Just you've got your tripods and your gimbals and things, but you set it down and just shoot it and look at it later. And this sound designer, Ben, is coming back out. When you're reviewing it later and you cut it into clips or whatever, set it to music. Like if you have like a bunch of different clips that you're just like B-roll clips that you're putting together, put music under it and see how that changes. Because I actually, with several of the blogs that I've done recently, I'm like, okay, well, this is me walking the dog through the record shop. This is us, going to checkout. This is it. But then once I set it to music, I was like, I actually kind of like watching this now. It's, so that kind of helps shift it in it, because it just changes the emotion of it goes from, oh, this was just us walking through the shop to, oh, this kind of feels like an event. And so that's been starting to help me do it. Yeah. But it's, I think a certain part of it too is going, get rid of your ego and just shoot. And, you guys as filmmakers too, like I would be willing to bet if you were to just film parts of your day all day long and then string it together as filmmakers, you would probably surprise yourself.
Yeah.
Never really
There's your
thought
challenge.
about
By next week,
God.
I want to see a TikTok at least of, that'll be fun. I look forward to it.
My God, I'll try. All right, but yeah, you know what? I suppose when Greg said that, and I was like, "Oh, it's boring." People watch unboxing videos.
Some of the vlogs that as I've researched on how to vlog or whatever, they're like 15-minute vlogs where people don't talk, and they are like static shots of somebody just like walking back and forth in their kitchen for 5 minutes, or somebody sitting eating their breakfast, and it's like a 3 to 4 minute shot of them just and like these people have like 100,000s of views on their which means on YouTube they're making a fuck ton of money. So I know I'm back on the money thing, but it's but I'm just thinking like people are getting paid to film themselves eating cereal. So it's like, no, but I've gone to Google and been like, why do people watch this? And I've asked, our AI overlords as well, why are people watching this? And everything's coming back to people want to feel a connection. So if they're just sitting in their office doing spreadsheet stuff all day, now they feel like, oh, I'm at least doing it with somebody else. And which on one hand, you can go, is that a little bit weird? And on the other hand, you go, I'm really glad that exists for somebody, that they feel some bit of connection right now, because I think because of these, we're missing it in the world. So
yeah,
I totally agree with that. Actually, I feel like when I'm with somebody, and Greg, you'll attest this, because like whenever we go shoot an elopement, and we're there the day before and we go for dinner, like Greg, do you remember? Because we haven't done it for a little while. Do you remember what I'm always asking you when we sit down for dinner?
If I'm having 3 courses.
Yes, because I want 3 courses, but I can't eat 3 courses unless Greg's having a 3 course. You know what I mean? I can't be the guy who's like, I don't know if that's the same thing, but yeah, I'm with you. I need the connection.
So what would 3 courses be for you?
As in, what would I choose to eat, or just the?
Yeah. Like, so like, are you doing like a salad, an entree, and a dessert, or what are you thinking as a?
I would go
for me.
Okay.
I would usually go starter and main, and skip dessert because I'm probably full by that point. Simon, I think he would just always go all 3.
All three, and then the coffee as well, because
Oh yeah, you've got of course.
Sleep is only optional.
So I will say, if we're ever together and I get the opportunity to cook for both of you, I will make you fat. There will be more than 3 courses.
Oh,
I don't do things. Yeah, I'm from Kentucky. I don't cook in small amounts. So wear elastic pants. It's going to be a good day.
Oh,
Nice.
That sounds wonderful. All right, let's get back on. Where are we actually?
In terms of the short form content, like you're on all the platforms. Like you just listed them all basically. And
Yeah.
you said that you post your short form pretty much on all of them. Whereas I think a lot of the general advice is make sure and customize your content for each channel. So have you learned anything from putting content on each different channel?
I've learned that people who say make different content for all platform, make different stuff for everywhere, typically have a full crew of people and have editing staff and everything else. I don't. I run a photography business and have a home life and really enjoy sleep. So I disagree with that. And I've grown decent audiences on all the platform, like somehow on Facebook, like my personal following on Facebook, once I started posting reels, is like at almost 40,000 there, which it's like, people follow me on Facebook? What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But like I get different responses on each one. Like I have different groups of people on every platform that follow my stuff and ask questions and interact. So like I know when I post on TikTok, like, and views are down on TikTok for most of us right now, but I still know like anything I post, there's a group of like 50 to 100 people that are always going to respond in some way. Yeah, it's just, and I think that's actually advice, they do different stuff for every platform. I think it's something that people get hung up on and why they don't create while they should be. I mean, like, if you don't have a crew and you don't have the time, you've got the video, just fucking post it everywhere. Gary V can do what Gary V wants to do. Bless his heart. I don't have that time in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that you just said Facebook because, and maybe our listeners will understand what I'm trying to say. In my head, Facebook is dead.
Yeah,
I just
same.
thought nobody was there. Is it working? I mean, you've got 40,000 followers on Facebook. Is it working to get you clients, or is it just
I have an
they're
actor
there?
coming in tomorrow afternoon that told me he found me via Facebook. So yeah, it doesn't book me a ton of clients, but yes, it still books. And I'm monetized on Facebook. So I don't make a ton of money, but 10, 20 extra bucks here and there for content I've already made. I can go. And then if I start searching brand deals at some point and start going that route, I've got that foundation piece to be like, I have this many here, this many here, this many here, this many here. Overall, follower count doesn't matter as much anymore as it once did. Now it's more view counts and watch time that matter more. And on Facebook, that's high for me. So when I do go for brand deals or whatever, I can bring that metric in. Same with Instagram, so yeah, it works. And it's brand identity too. I mean, so much of what I was talking with somebody about this recently, a lot of people about this recently. We as photographers don't have the luxury that people like hairstylists or massage therapists or other appointment-based businesses have, in that, like, my hairstylist knows that every month she's going to have X amount of repeat clients because people's hair grows and they got to, whatever. Yeah. We as photographers, almost all of our clients are new. Like, we have to grind for every single client. You guys as wedding photographers, and videographers in particular, hopefully you aren't going to see those same people again for a wedding. Hopefully they stay together for the rest of their life. Maybe a renewal ceremony or something. But so part of what we have to do is be visible, so that, not that anybody's going to, be like, hooray, I want to go get a headshot today. But then when they do want to go get a headshot and they go, oh, I see this big beardy motherfucker all the time, he does headshots, that's my guy. So I really try to think about it that way and just be like, I've got to be in front of you at all times. Very few other photographers in my area are as visible on social as I am. And that gives me a leg up. Like, people know me. I had a car, I was walking the dog, my wife and I, somebody stopped their car next to us on a busy street and rolls down the window and was like, oh my God, I love your content, and it's like, so that it's marketing.
Yeah. That's actually quite funny. I have a similar sort of story, but it's kind of not the same. I mean, we do video for the podcast, and I have to say, if you're a listener out there, come and say how much you love the podcast. If you do, it's great. but I am never the face you think I am. They always think that my voice is on Greg's face, which is hilarious to me. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny. Do you ever?
You guys
do you
should
ever,
totally do a thing where you actually like ADR it.
Oh my God! Could you
That'd be
imagine?
funny.
That would. In fact, hang on. There is probably. I'm thinking of an easier way to do that. You could train an AI to copy Greg's voice and then change it into my voice. That would be a nice way. April Fool's is coming up. No, stop it. I've got actual business things to do. Ben, do you ever get the fear that you put so much of yourself online and it's gonna nuke your business in any way, or people are gonna be like, you know what, it's not for me, not for me. I don't know.
No, because if I'm not somebody's cup of tea, I don't want to work with them anyway. Like I don't, and I'm using this as an example. I don't talk a lot of political stuff on my things, but I will share some things. And I've been sharing a fair amount more rather stout opinions from other people recently. And if somebody doesn't book me because I'm not one that's going to comply, and I think putting masked men in the street to torment families and shoot people in the face is a problem, don't book me. So yeah, and at the end of the day, if somebody goes, I'm not going to book that guy because he wears a kilt, don't book me because I'm not changing, So I really don't worry about it.
Mm.
And a lot of the people that do book me because of my energy. They're like, I want to be around you. You seem like you know what you're doing and you're fun. And so yeah, I don't worry about it. And if it ever does tank the business entirely, it is what it is. I'll go start training dogs and maybe making moonshine or something. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no, it's I suppose it's not maybe the reels and no, your short form video content. Maybe just I don't know. There's this idea in as a wedding business that you should only have a website with your wedding work. And I've been thinking about this recently because, like I said, we've created another brand for the elopements, but the branding of this new brand will be not like anti-big weddings, but like the ideas can coexist, but someone might perceive a value shift. So I personally need to be quite careful on how I word things moving forward. But like your boudoir work, your portraiture work, your headshot work, I know those are all photography, but they are different styles.
Right.
Do you ever worry about that?
So yes, and that's a great question. For a while, I tried to put everything on one website under one umbrella. What I ended up doing was confusing the Google's algorithms. It didn't know how to rank me anymore. And so like I saw like my headshot ranking where I'd always been at 1 or 2, saw it get pushed down to like 4, 5, 6 and those sorts of things. So for that, I did separate the headshot website from the boudoir website, since those are really my 2 big things. I actually have a pet portrait website too, but that's whatever.
Oh, what? How did I miss that? What?
Because I don't talk about it much. Okay, so my dog occasionally comes to the studio with me. It's LouisvillePetPortraits.com if you're so he was here one day. I did his portrait. If you watch any of my TikToks, there's the portrait of the dog behind me. That's my dog. And so when I got done with that photo, I was like, I wonder if anybody owns LouisvillePetPortraits.com. What a great domain to have for SEO. And nobody did. So I do. So I brought in a bunch of dogs and photographed them. I've had dogs and cats and chickens and, everything in here. So yeah, it's really an excuse for me to hang out with people's pets. So all that back around to, it was a concern there for a while that I was crossing the streams and confusing people. So I did shift them out. I actually have a separate Instagram account just for the boudoir stuff as well. But that's mainly because like I rarely post headshots on social media. But with the boudoir stuff on Instagram, I kept getting flagged and being like community guidelines, even if I had it all censored and stuff, even though big brands can get away with, but I won't get on that soapbox.
Okay. Because we've had a few people, who have had this, like, they've had their accounts removed and they've had to like fight it constantly. Do you have any tips for photographers out there who might just struggle with that sort of thing?
Unfortunately, it's their sandbox. They get to do what they want to do. Account like Versace, and I did a TikTok reel about this recently. Versace posted an image with a topless model. Most of the nipple was covered with a letter, but not all, like stuff that would have most certainly gotten me flagged. Versace can get away with it because they're Versace. Playboy can get away with stuff because they're Playboy. And I'm the only reason I'm verified on Instagram is so that I can talk to people at Instagram. So when they get really stupid, I can call them and be like, "You're being stupid," and they're like, "Yeah, it's pretty stupid," and then they don't do anything. So, yeah, it's their sandbox. We can't do anything about it. Just know that if you're going to post it, you're going to get flagged. If you post an account that is all that work, which is what I do, you're not always going to attract the people that you want to attract with that, unfortunately. So do the best you can. Try to get people to your website as much as you can without being like, the uncensored stuff on my website, because that's weird too.
Yeah.
But try to get them to domains or areas where you control what is seen. And it sucks. It just sucks. But those are the rules we kind of have to play by right now.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't.
Should we talk about some photos?
Yeah, let's go to show and tell. But I hadn't thought about being verified for that reason, which is interesting. Yeah, show and tell.
So basically, I give Instagram money so I can call them and then be like, "Sucks to be you," and I go, "Yeah, sure does," and here's more money. Thanks.
Oh, have you got a delivery, Ben?
I don't. I think I do, but here, hold on. You all look at the pretty image.
Go for it. It wouldn't be a proper podcast episode without someone getting something delivered. Wonderful.
Yeah.
What is it though? What is it?
It is a offer for a credit card that
exciting. What made you choose this image, Simon?
I
think we've already touched on this image, or the inspiration for this image, maybe.
Yeah. So this was this was the image that started the boudoir journey. So this was my my version of a woman drying her hair. And it was the image that kind of made me go, boudoir doesn't have to be racy. It doesn't have to be titillating. It doesn't have to be a Whitesnake video. It can be elegant and artistic. This is what launched it.
Yeah. When I first discovered you, this was actually the first image that I saw of yours, and I knew you said you were a photographer, and I looked at this image and I thought, that's a painting. And I had to look closer to the detail to make sure you hadn't done any like post-processing, ran it through some AI to, I'm not saying this is, it doesn't look like that, but I'm like, Renaissance paintings have a texture to them, and it was just so like that for me, like a real piece. This is gonna sound, I need to be careful how I word this. I'm coming off like an idiot. Like a real painting. That's what the lighting said to my eyes here. And I still look at this and think this is absolutely stunning lighting.
Thank you.
With the softness of the colors and the shades, the skin tones, just really phenomenal image here. And also, this is square. I think was this square? Like, talk us through this image and then talk about aspect ratios and stuff.
So the reason I went square with this one is the original is square. So I was like, if I am riffing on Joseph DeCamp's painting, let's go all the way with it. So yeah, and I don't know. I just love this image. Processing wise, there is some dodging and burning going on for just to add a little bit more depth and to the skin and to her musculature. Not a ton, but there is some, and then there is obviously a color grade on it as well. Yeah, I love this image. This one was done well before AI as well. This one, what year? It may have been 2018, 2019-ish. I don't remember, but it's been a while. Yeah, this one's kind of old, and I still love it. It holds up.
Yeah,
It
I think
does hold
Simon
up.
struggling to describe the feel of it there sums up
Nearly
the fact
insulting
that you mentioned in your you mentioned in your description of your work about wanting it to be stuff that you would see in a museum. So that brings it back to, I think that's the feeling that Simon's getting from the image as well, is that it's got that painterly look and feel. I'd say nailed it in that sense.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In terms of the lighting, what equipment are you using to achieve this look?
So I am we'll say frugal. I often lean towards cheap, but let's go to frugal instead. I don't have a ton of gear. I really only keep around what I need. So this particular image was shot with one Alien B B800 with a 4-foot octabox, and then there was a white reflector on the other side. So it was really, really a simple shot to do. I was at that point I was shooting my Nikon D800 with the 70-200 as the lens, and that was and that's still primarily what I use now. I still use my Alien Bs like crazy. I picked up a couple Einsteins as well, so I can have 2 lighting setups at all times now. But yeah, the Alien Bs, and Paul Buff has been good to me. Someday, hopefully, they sponsor me.
Yeah. Do you have any, is there a grid on the light at all, or any other modifiers? Was it just
no? It's a double diffused 4-foot octabox. So just very, very simple. And I tend to not overcomplicate light. It's I feel like it should be just very simple. And I think I know there are certainly shots that you can do where you need a whole lot more light. You need to do various things, but I think in many cases, where I think photographers get hung up is they try to do too much. And it's like, no, just if Rembrandt could do it with a window, we can do it with 1 or 2 lights and be okay.
Yeah. So tell us about your post-processing in terms of, like, once you've taken the image, what sort of look are you going for? Adjusting your post-processing depending on the image, the chair, the model, the background, all that kind of stuff?
All of it, all of it has to work together. Like, so for this particular image, for example, I knew I wanted it to play cool. The backdrop, that the forward backdrop, because there's the front one and then the back one, it's a various shades of blue. Got the blue in the chair, so like everything, and then with the white dress and everything, it needed to play cool in this image.
Yeah.
But then I love that we've got the deeper shade of red in her lipstick, so we do get that little bit of contrast in the color realm of it. My post-processing, basically the way it goes is I'll get the image in, do any adjustments that need to happen and capture one, like if it needs an exposure situation or anything like that. I typically will flatten it out just a little bit, so I remove some contrast and then adjust the white and the black point a little bit to flatten it. I'm going to add that back when I dodge and burn. I like to do it more by hand, so I really kind of control where those things are happening. Then I'll get it into Photoshop, do any other skin stuff. So if it needs, dodge and burn for skin, if it needs frequency separation, if I've got to remove stray hairs, etc. Then I do by hand dodge and burn for contrast to put highlights and shadows where I want them and deepen them as much as I want. I like that sort of high contrasty the vibe, and then color grade from there. It's the elements. Like if you look a lot, like this is actually the first image that made me go, oh, this is the portrait style that I can do. So
Okay.
So you all have surprisingly chosen 2 images that launched 1,000 ships. Well done.
Yes.
If you look at a lot of my modern work where I'm using a much warmer background, a lot of that work tends to lean more warm than this one does. But I love this image. This is actually the first image that I did in my last studio. It went into a frame that I found somewhere, and I hung it up on the wall and lit it. And I stepped back to take a look at it to make sure it worked in the space. And then I sat down and I was just staring. And then like 30 minutes later, I realized had just been sitting there staring at it. So it gets back to, I feel like we should make images that people want to look at. So I adore this portrait. It's hanging in the room behind me right now.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, like, the simplicity of the chair and the backdrop, but also the hair and makeup with the dress choice is phenomenal here.
Thank you.
That hair styling is perfect.
Thank you.
Was that an inspired choice, or?
So the makeup team that I work with, their bread and butter is actually weddings. So I'm very lucky that I only shoot Monday through Friday. So there's not a lot of weddings Monday through Friday, and then they're working their ass off on the weekends.
Nice.
So when I approached them and said, "Hey, I've got this wedding dress coming in," they were like, "Yeah, this is in our wheelhouse." So they typically, I just have like one makeup artist. And she does hair and makeup. For this, she brought one of her hairstylists as well. So I had a hair and makeup artist on this. Hannah's hair was short, so there wasn't a ton that could be done.
Yeah.
And we kind of all talked through it and decided that it should have kind of a 20s feel to it. And then in this particular case, with the makeup team, that being their specialty, I went, "Here's what I do. I trust you as artists. I'm getting the hell out of your way because you know more about this genre than I do. I know how to make the portrait, but I'm not going to tell you how to do what you do on this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quick question: the background, the 2 backgrounds. Why keep the edge of that background line in and not place your model more to the center of the backdrop? Because I know a lot of photographers are kind of scared of the edges, and they're always removing them, and they don't like that line. Maybe
Don't fear the edges. Like there's shots that I've done where, and you'll see this a lot. I'm not the only one who does it. I haven't done it in a while. I should. Where you could have the backdrop, and then you'll see studio stuff behind it. I've got a beautiful shot of a couple in front of a painted backdrop, but then behind them you see my ladders and chairs and all that stuff too. So it was really just to add just a little bit more depth to the shot. It adds that little hint of texture because there is that shadow between the front drop and the second drop. It just gives it that little bit of depth as well. It's just a little bit of seasoning, out there just to add just a little bit more. And I haven't played with, I've heard it referred to as a dirty frame by some people. I haven't done it actually, that's not true. I did it about a year ago with someone. I don't do it as often as I should. I should play with it a lot more. And you see like a lot of photographers out there doing it like where they have like 3 or 4 drops and they, stack them and do corners and things just to add some depth and some visual interest to it.
Yeah. When I said earlier you don't tend to see it, that's maybe a mindset from a few years ago. You actually are starting to see, especially wedding photographers who like bring a backdrop, they just pop it down, and they are doing that like at weddings. So I'm not. It's more. I almost had to. I don't know. I think my brain is like split into the wedding work and then the studio work. So I find it hard to describe one, and yeah. So, you mentioned that you're shooting with a 70-200. Is that more on the 70 end or the 200 end, or like? I mean, you have to have a mighty big studio. So, being said, I don't actually know how big your studio is. Tell us about your focal length here.
My studio is a pretty good size. I am in about 2,000 square feet of space. So like half the studio is like the lobby seating area. Ooh, it's snowing. So the lobby seating area, I've got my sales room, and my office and the bathroom are on this side of the space. So about 900 square feet over here. On the side that I'm talking towards right now, I've got like 4 different backdrop setups ready to go in there, and then the makeup and changing room is back there. So I've got a lot of space. If I shoot it long ways, I can shoot a group of 15 to 20 in here pretty easily. I'm very fortunate to have worked my butt off to have this.
Yeah.
With as opposed to, I would love to tell you that when I'm working, I'm going, oh, I'm at 70 or I'm at 105 or blah. I'm not in that moment thinking about it. I don't think about my gear in the slightest when I'm working. I'm only paying attention to the person and their shape and their expression. So if I need to zoom in, I will rack it out to 200 in a heartbeat, or pull it back to 70. Typically with headshots, I'm somewhere between 70 and 105, but even that, I'm like, whatever. It's I do what I got to do to make it happen.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you most of the time. Does it work and does it look good when I hit the button? And if it does, I'm happy.
Yeah, nice. I believe we have one more image of yours.
We do.
Yes,
A new one.
It's okay. So this was obviously a bit warmer. Again, another model with red hair. Very very nice with the color of the backdrop. Not like the first one where you kind of went for the kind of the opposite color, with the red hair and the green background. You've kind of kept the background warmer. Tell me about posing for this image, because I really like it for the pose here.
So this pose ended up actually pseudo happening naturally. We were actually not communicating as well as we haven't before, because I've worked with her a couple times. I was tongue tied that day or something, as I wasn't able to articulate as much, and we were working with the arm to get that triangle, but it just wasn't landing. And then at some point she just kind of naturally started to brush her hair back, and I was like, stop, it's right there. And I was able to then turn her nose where I wanted it, and we got it, and got the expression that we wanted. And I'm finger quoting, as simple as a pose as that is, it's a great example of sometimes communication doesn't go the way that you'd like it to, and it was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, it's not often that we speak about this, but when we are in the field, sometimes words just don't come out right, or the vibe is off because of something you're doing. How do you deal with that in the moment?
So I will often keep cheat sheets, and it's because like I can try to describe to you what I'm seeing in the little theater in my head all day long, but just because I'm describing it that way doesn't mean that that's the play that you're experiencing. So you're going to interpret it differently, and that's communication. So I tend to on the second screen that I keep in the space, I'll keep an inspiration board up of like poses and things. And you see this on fashion shoots and stuff all the time. So if I'm not able to fully articulate, here's the shape that I'm aiming for, I can turn the screen towards whoever I'm working with and point and go, this is the foundational shape that we're starting with. Get in, try to get into this shape, so they can see it. And then they go, oh, okay. And then we can work from there. But I have zero problem showing a photo and being like, go here, and then riffing where we need to.
Okay. Just out of interest, how many images is a client walking away from a session?
Strictly depends on them. So I sell a la carte. There's that sell word again. So like I don't do packages and things. So I I don't take a ton of shots during a session. Like I'm not a spray and pray kind of guy. So like if I'm working with somebody for 3 hours, I might hit the button 300 times, and while they're changing, I'm gonna cull that down to 100 that will go through, and then we go into my sales room. I have a 65-inch TV in there where I airdrop up to the screen, and we review the images straight out of camera, and they make their decisions from there.
Okay.
A lot of people go with one of my like 20 image albums or whatever. So and they go, okay, 20 because they don't of what it costs.
Mm-hmm.
Currently my 20 image album is $3,200. So they go, okay, which is great. It's a good day for me.
Yeah.
But I've had other people where I've decorated their entire house, like, large prints and books and things. Like, I'm gonna get tired of looking at your face while I'm editing you, but let's go. It really depends on them. And I'm not a hard sell kind of guy. Like I never want to be like, ooh, but don't you want more? It's like, I want people to be happy and have a good experience and feel good about what they're taking home with them. In headshot land, kind of the same thing. On average, people are buying 4 or 5 images. But sometimes people are like, I want 50. Great, let's do that. So it's really up to them. And I'm just here to create for them and hopefully make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those images, are they going on an online gallery at all, or like do they have access to more that they can potentially buy in future if they feel sassy or flush one day?
So I don't do galleries. Everything that I do is in-person sale. So I find that galleries stress people out because they end up with analysis paralysis, and there's so many decisions to make or whatever. I mean, like, think about like when you go to try to find something on Netflix to watch and you don't know what you want to watch, so you just scroll and you scroll and you scroll, and it stresses you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Same thing with selecting images. So I do that with them. If they wanted, and I'm not a photographer, I hate it. It chaps my ass so bad when somebody goes, well, if they don't buy the images right now, I'm gonna delete them all. Like, get a job. Oh, like hard drives are cheap, man. Like, I've got my hard drives from 2013, and so if somebody does want to view their images again, I set up. We do it via Zoom, or they can come to the studio. I charge them. I charge them a fee for the reviewing session. It's the cost of it, so if it's either the cost of a headshot or a cost of an 8x10 as the review session. If they buy anything during that review session, that cost goes towards whatever they buy. If they don't buy anything, then that cost just covers my time when I couldn't book something else into the studio. So I am always happy to review images with people if they'd like.
Very cool. Yeah. That there's a lot to be said with that. That is not how many people do it in the wedding world, obviously, but there is something to say about, especially those people who overshoot, and I am guilty for this. If you offer your clients too much, they're less likely to buy images from you after. So just be aware of that. I know I'm talking sales. Oh my goodness. Dear Lord.
I'll do a whole episode with you guys about sales of you, but I love talking sales.
You know what? I actually love talking sales as well, mainly because in my head, I got into this as an artiste, but the business part of me, I'm still not a business person whatsoever. That's what Greg's for. But it's fascinating to me. Every time I have a conversation where a photographer's like, oh, the business, everything they say makes sense to me. So yeah. Anyway, Ben, thank you very much for joining us online. I know it's 2 hours, so it's quite a long time. So I really do appreciate it.
This has been great. I've had a great time. I would chat with you guys all day. So anytime, I'm here.
Don't, because I will get you back on to talk sales. I will.
Just say when. I'm for it. So is a majority of your audience from Scotland in the UK?
No,
It's
says
all over.
the top countries are UK, US, Canada, and then it sort of spreads out from there.
Okay, so if I
Yeah.
didn't enrage everyone by talking about sales, then yeah, I'm happy to do it. I'll be back.
I mean, if people want to hear about sales, let me know, because I will threaten Ben to come back on and have a good time. Anyway, actually, the last question that we always like to ask is, do you have any book recommendations? Or, well, I mean, we open up to films and anything that inspires you as a creative.
Oh, you say that, and then like all of a sudden, I forget every book that I've ever read.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be such a cliched answer because I just forgot everything on the planet, but I really kind of find inspiration in everything. I've talked about this before. Like, if it ignites my senses in some way, shape, or form, if it's a smell, if it's a touch, if it's a taste, if it's a visual thing, whatever, that inspires me to want to do, to want to. And so I think it's everywhere. I will come up with books. It's like literally, it was the thing is like, what's your favorite song? And I'm like, what the fuck is music? I completely forgot everything. And there are certainly a ton of them. So I will get those shared to you. And I apologize to your audience, but yeah, a lot.
What's your
You're
favorite
actually-
recipe?
Be more specific.
What's your...
Are we either? Are we talking cocktail recipe? Are we talking
main
Food?
course?
Main course, yeah.
What would you make if Greg and I came over to your kitchen?
Okay, well, so we will do this as a multi-day thing because no, really, I'll make you fat. So I'm American as American can be. So you never go wrong with a good steak and potato. So that's going to be there. I've been experimenting recently with duck, and I love doing risottos of various kinds of things. I've been playing more with some Indian dishes recently. So a couple things we could get into there. Like chicken tikka masala, saag paneer make me very happy. So yeah, what do you all like? What's your favorite foods?
I like Italian, like a good pasta, good simple pasta, or crazy pasta, but like, yeah, Italian food.
Yeah.
Like going to Rome is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You're the second person to mention Rome to me recently and go, you gotta go. And so I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, the food there is amazing. I mean, yeah, Italian food. But you know what? Steak and chips, peppercorn sauce, a nice big fillet, a good whiskey. God, that would be me. I'd be a happy man.
We can do that. I boast and people challenge me. I honestly don't think anybody else does steak better than I do. So I could take care of that.
That if you're gonna
It's a
give
bold
me
claim.
homework, here's your homework, sir. I want a social media video of just you making a steak and tell me how to cook a good steak. That's what I want to see.
I can do it. I'm gonna have to wait until spring because right now it's getting dark very, very early. So I can't and I don't have lights on around my grill. But I
fair
can do that. Happy to do it.
Okay. I'd love to see that. Awesome. And yeah, you're so lucky, by the way. As soon as you said vinyls, I had to be like, nope, don't ask him about music. Don't do it. But yes, again, thank you very much for joining us, Ben. Where can people find you online if they wanted to check out your work?
Literally everywhere. So Instagram is at Ben Marcum Photo. TikTok is at Ben Marcum. YouTube is currently at Ben Marcum Photography. The headshot website is benmarcum.com. The boudoir website is boudoir by Ben Marcum. If you just Google Ben Marcum Photographer, I come up bloody well everywhere because I have been chasing the SEO demon for years.
Very, very nice. Oh, what was your pet business again?
Louisville Pet Portraits.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I'm definitely going to be checking them out.
And you've also
please
got
do.
your short form video course, which I know you
Yes.
can find in your
Yes.
Instagram links and stuff. So
Yes, yeah, and that was I niched it specifically to photographers, but it's good for any business, small business trying to do it, and just it's not about how to go viral. That's what I hate about so many of the gurus. Like, here's how you go viral and hit 10 million people. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's really just about here's how you connect with your right people. Here's what you do, because everybody's like, I don't know what to talk about, and all that. So I cover all of that and try to make this all very easy, because I think people overthink it. Just get in there and go.
Agreed. There's no other perfect time to start than just now.
Right.
But yeah, have fun with it, guys, if you download it and have a look. People can find us at perspectivebycinemate.com. Our Instagram is at perspectivebycinemate. At Perspective by Cinemate everywhere, for goodness sake. Thank you to Jack and Pick Time for sponsoring another episode of this podcast. And if you did like this conversation, do hit subscribe on our YouTube, Perspective by Cinemate. And leave a review if you can, wherever you can, just to help us out. That would mean a great deal. However,
In the meantime,
enjoy your life.